After Attack on Titan Season 2 ended, I think everyone had just one question on their minds. Yo, how the heck is Eren controlling those Titans? Like, what? But if you're the same special kind of weirdo I am, the second question on your mind was probably this. How the hell are they gonna top Sasageo? If there's one thing Attack on Titan is known for, aside from insane plot twists and a crazy high mortality rate, it's the show's openings, which are exactly what plays when you open your dictionary to the word hype. Don't ask me how that works, I don't make books. Across 2 seasons, Linked Horizon gave Attack on Titan 3 heart-pumping, Titan-slaughtering anthems, packed with foreshadowing, deep-cut manga references, and incredible action animation. So we could only imagine what the show would have in store for us next season. But I don't think anyone imagined this. Like a fallen angel, took you the Red Swan is very different from the other Attack on Titan openings. It's very different from most anime openings in general. The few actual story references in there are surface level and easy to understand for just about anyone who's seen the show. Instead of foreshadowing, its main purpose is to set a tone that seems at first blush to be at odds with the tone of the series itself. Calm, hopeful, uplifting, a far cry from the death and destruction that pervades just about every episode that follows it. As you can probably guess, quite a few Attack on Titan fans were a little upset with this. They came in expecting another rock anthem and found a melancholic theme many argued belongs in the ending. Linked Horizon is still here, but they were relegated to ending theme status themselves with a slightly more epic but still fundamentally somber piece. And to all the people who just came to see over-the-top blood and guts in action, the lack of an appropriately metal theme song to go along with it felt jarring. Hell, they don't even fight any Titans in this one. Sure, from the first episode of the season, it's clear that one of the running themes in this arc of the story is going to be digging into characters' childhoods in order to show how they've become who they are today, but does that one story element really justify abandoning the downright iconic openings that got fans' attention in the first place, especially for something so diametrically opposed to what those songs were all about? You know what? I'd argue they'd have a lot more to justify if they tried to cram something along the lines of Sasageo or Gurren no Yumiya into Season 3's intro instead. Red Swan isn't just a good opening, it's downright perfect for the story they're telling. The defining feature of all 3 Linked Horizon OPs is that they're propaganda. They aren't just rock anthems, but national anthems meant to rally humanity against the Titans. They show the death and destruction that the enemy brings in its wake while playing up the heroism of the soldiers fighting against them. And that's fitting for the first 2 seasons of the show, which are very much about a battle for humanity's survival that never gets any more complicated than rooting out a few spies. Season 3 is a very different beast. It takes elements that were always there in previous seasons, the military's lack of support for the scouts, inequality between nobles and peasants within the walls, the elite military police who only protect the rich, and the question of why somebody would want to destroy humanity in the first place, and brings them to the forefront, revealing a new enemy in the fascist government which lies to the people at every turn and uses their fear of the Titans to control them. If the show were to use the same kind of militaristic theme that underscored the first 3 seasons, it would essentially be cheering on the villains that our heroes are revolting against. Of course, Wit Studio could have come up with some kind of action-packed alternative that still fit the themes of protest. It's not like this is the first or even 100th anime about rebelling against fascist oppressors, and plenty of those have had kick-ass theme songs. But by taking things in a completely different direction and giving us something mellow, contemplative, and deeply personal for our main characters, they end up making a powerful statement. If the prior Attack on Titan openings were all about protecting humanity in the abstract, then Red Swan chooses to show us a direct and specific reminder of the essential elements of humanity that our heroes have lost and that are worth protecting in the first place. There's a clear focus on the backstories of each of this arc's major players, our trio of protagonists as happy children, Levi as a decidedly less happy child, Kenny, a little younger and a lot drunker, Erwin looking back on his childhood, and of course Historia flashing back to her lost memories of Frida. In the opening's conclusion, we see all of these kids come together one last time as the sun rises and the images of their memories are blown out by the light, fading into the past. Our trio of heroes running together in the streets, Krista, fidgety and alone, the upright Erwin catching the eye of a dirty, desperate Levi. Even the Titan Shifters, the show's central villains up to this point, are shown as three scared little kids in the woods, plus one diminutive figure with the head of an adult man. God, Baby Reiner looks creepy. There's some dramatic irony in the fact that they're coming to end the happy childhoods of every other character in this OP, but here we can see that, like young Levi, they still have a relative innocence to them now that is going to go away with time. Indeed, the dominant theme of this OP is innocence lost, something that all of these characters have suffered from as they've grown up, but also something that they're going through now as their naive faith in the institutions and leaders that keep their world together is shaken to its core. And that idea is shown throughout as we see these characters as adults reflecting on their past. Red Swan is pretty clever with its character introductions. It encapsulates Kenny and Levi's entire relationship in 4 shots. First, we see Levi wandering alone and lost, then he meets Kenny, a belligerent drunkard whose self-centered attitude is clearly conveyed by the way he leaves his feet on the table. After this, we see Levi brandishing a knife confidently, having learned the skill from Kenny, and then Kenny acknowledging him just once, very briefly, before retreating under the brim of his hat. Kenny doesn't give him much, but it was exactly enough to survive, and you get a clear idea of what they're both about from this short segment. When Erwin appears, the way that his reflection overlaps with his dad shows how he draws all of his resolve from a desire to find the truth about what happened to him and prove his theory about humanity's history right. Plus, in a neat touch, we only see his left hand resting against the window because he doesn't have the other one. And in another neat touch, Frida Reese is almost entirely off camera in the animated part of Historia's segment, only actually appearing on screen in an ephemeral storybook style image. The other times this type of image is shown in this OP, it denotes other important moments that are totally lost to time. This is all framed and held together by a running juxtaposition between the world-weary Eren, Mikasa, and Armin returning to the ruins of their hometown Shiganshina for the first time in 5 years, and them as children, running and playing in the same district, totally carefree. The bridge of the song shows our heroes looking wistful and lost as the English lyrics go on a bit heavy-handedly about not knowing what to believe. This is superimposed against Eren's hand grasping at the air, meant to represent how he's grasping for meaning in this point of the story, unable to hold on to anything concrete, and eventually getting cut seemingly out of nowhere just for trying. Eventually, he grasps at meaning in his own suffering, just as he does after learning what his dad did to the Reese family and to humanity in general. But again, this nebulous scene is contrasted with a moment of absolute clarity. His happy mother and father holding him as a baby, which cuts to a rare exterior shot of their intact home. A peaceful moment of unambiguous good that simply deserves protection. This contrast comes to a head when a stoic, unresponsive Eren is bumped into by his younger self as he's playing with his friends. There's some great wordless character acting here as the child is at first put off by the soldier's stiffness, then disregards it to run off with his friends, only to double back and reassure his older self. Something Eren really needs toward the end of this season as his entire sense of purpose is torn down. But as he stares resolutely while his childhood literally runs away from him, we get a hint of what that purpose is. In the series proper, when Eren looks down from atop the walls of Orvid District and sees a trio of kids that remind him of Armin, Mikasa, and himself, it's hard not to think of this scene from the OP, which adds weight to his revelation there. He might never be able to get back the innocence and optimism that he's lost, but he can protect it for future generations. An idea that, by itself, I think fully justifies putting such a hopeful, emotional number in front of such an oppressively bleak TV series. With the characters going through so much each episode and often losing sight of themselves along the way, it really helps to have a clear reminder of what drives them and what they have to protect. Of course, the melancholic underlying truth of this song is that the past is over, and Eren and friends can't dwell there forever. As the kids run away, Mikasa's shoe flies off and falls to the pavement, perhaps symbolizing the start of the panic as the colossal titan enters the scene. Next, the key to the basement dangles into view, notably missing the magical ethereal sparkles that have surrounded almost everything else in the opening, symbolically locking down this period of their lives and consigning it to memory, while also foreshadowing where the show's next arc is going to take us. That is some pretty damn clever and efficient direction, and it closes out the OP with a definitive sense of finality. I don't know if I'd call Red Swan the best Attack on Titan opening. I think it has the most unconventional design, and it's definitely the most emotionally stirring opening in the series, but it only works as well as it does because it's able to stand in contrast to what's come before it. It's powerful on its own, but I think it makes its most powerful statement simply by not being another Gurren no Yumiya. It sets the stage for an arc where our heroes finally gain some real hope for a better future, and it sets that stage beautifully. Within the series, it serves as a poignant marker of a major turning point for both the world and our characters. And in the broader context of anime in general, it's a nice reminder that sometimes the best thing that you can do in telling a story is giving your audience something they never expected. I took a sort of different approach to doing what's in an OP this time, trying to break it down less frame by frame and more in terms of general theming, and I'd love to know what you guys think about this change in format in the comments. While you're down there, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like if you liked the video, a dislike if you didn't, and also if you'd click that subscribe button to see more videos from me every week from now until whenever humanity is finally freed from the Titans. I'm Geoff Thew, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.